Welcome to your Chips and Salsa show, Chipsters. This is Don Jorge El Alacran. And happy 2025. We're
Oh
starting our
my
new
goodness,
year.
2025.
We just came from AmFest, as a lot of you know. And with me, I have my co host,
Who?
Don Cheryl Rosado.
Hi. Yes, I am Cheryl Rosado, and I'm the host here with George. He gets a little flustered when he remembers my predecessor, Alice. Right?
And
Shout out to Alice. She was always great, and it was so great to see her over AmFest. That's
yes,
kind of
yes.
why she's on the brain because we have been reminiscing about what a great time we had, and just we met so many people, and it was truly, truly a good experience. Someone that we met there. He's going to be on the show in a minute. We'll introduce him. So uh, that's Josh Bernstein. And so I'm very excited to have him on the show today after we met him at AmFest. And we just made some really good connections. It was a lot of fun. But before we go any further, I do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We had so many great sponsors that helped us out with AmFest and help us out all the time. We have Pure 5 Extraction, we have AZ Injection Perfection, National Automotive Repair, who I came there, I went there right before I came to the studio and spoke with Jake. He's a super great guy. If you need anything, go to Jake. And of course, we have Canaloo Air. And last but certainly not least, it is One Team, One Dream Foundation. And I know that the head there, he's going to be on in soon, right? To
Yeah,
come talk
in the
to
near
us
future.
in the future and let us know
You'll all meet
what
him.
all they're doing, and you guys will be able to hear from him. Very excited about all these upcoming things that we've got going on. But we do have one in studio guest today, and that is Kelvia Campbell.
Hello,
Say
hello.
Kelvia. Hello. I'm so glad this is the first time
Howdy.
you've ever been on a podcast, right?
I know. Yes, this is my first time. I'm very excited.
I know she flew all the way from Kentucky to be here, you guys. Like,
Whoa.
I mean, it was a couple months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, not today.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm just glad to have you on. How have you been? How were your holidays?
Everything was great. I actually spent my first Christmas here in Arizona. I
Nice.
actually with my political family.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
coalition members and volunteers invited me to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So it was actually pretty cool.
That's nice, and you got to.
So you
was it
live in
like big
Kentucky.
things? No. You moved here, right?
Yeah, I moved
Oh, okay.
here back last March. So the last week of March, and I started work here in April.
How do you like the
Okay.
weather?
Oh, I love it here. I was telling my mom it's an easy trade off. Like, yes, the summers are hot, but I'm Mexican. I'm kind of built for that. And I love it. I love the heat. And it's snowing. I mean, they're iced in. My parents are iced in right now in Kentucky.
I can't even. I mean, I'm born and raised here, so I cannot even imagine. I don't like the cold. It's not my jam at all.
Mm-mm.
I will always tell you, like, I'm a desert rat. I was meant to be born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona.
You're a lizard.
Yeah, I'm a lizard.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then our other guest we have is Josh Bernstein, and he is here via Zoom, and he's going to be here listening to Kelvia as she tells her story, and he'll be chiming in for the second half. Josh, can you hear me? You want to say hi?
Yes, I can hear everybody. It's wonderful to be back on the program with you all. It was fun to meet you all at America Fest, and it was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And actually, when we did that panel interview, I actually ended up exchanging information with Cliff Maloney from Pennsylvania Chase, who was sitting right next to me. And hopefully he'll be on my show at some point in the future. But more importantly, I want to see if I can work with him and Pressler and many others on election integrity issues around the country. So excited about that.
That is awesome. Did you get in contact with Pressler there as well?
Close. I think we are going to be connected here in the next week or two, but nothing solidified yet. But Cliff has been really, really great, really nice person, great patriot. And we've been contacting each other and talking back and forth. So we'll see.
Very, very nice. Do you follow them both on Twitter?
I do. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good. Because I know that that's always a great way to interact with people is their, I guess, X. But
Right.
that's a great way to do it. And I have interactions with Cliff on Twitter as well. So I know he's receptive and active. And
Yeah, he's cool. He's definitely a cool patriot. good day.
Well, I'm so glad that Chips and Salsa was able to help you, make some connections. That's what we want to do,
absolutely.
and we want you guys to do it. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was great being on that program, and it was fun. And we talked about a lot of important things, and it was great. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. Okay, so Josh is going to be here so that we can, if you have a comment or something, just hop right into the conversation. We're here. So, Kelvia, I want you to tell us your story. You were adopted.
Yes, I am an adoptee, and it's a lot more common these days than it was, I guess, in 91. I was born in 91. My sister was born in 87, and she's Korean. So she was international adoption. I was technically domestic adoption. She came through Holt International, which is a well known adoption agency through Korea, South Korea. Um, and of course, my story is I was born in Texas. I'm proud to say that I was born on American soil, which is one of the greatest gifts that's ever been given to me. So my adopted parents are in Kentucky, and they faced infertility. So they put themselves on an adoption list, with different agencies. My uncle happened to be stationed in Texas, and his wife was a nurse, and she worked at a birthing clinic right there by the border in Del Rio, Texas. And she told my mom, there's a lot of women that come here, they're pregnant, they have their baby on the border, and they put them up for adoption. So, my mom happened to cross the border of Mexico, full-term pregnancy. She made that journey from Veracruz, Mexico, and she had me at that birthing clinic there in Del Rio, Texas. And she told them she just really wanted me to be as far away from Mexico as possible and the border. And that happened to be, a little country couple in Kentucky that happened to be the next on the list. So they were excited. They said they ordered a bunch of furniture and they were remodeling the house, and they're like, no, we gotta back order all this stuff. We gotta take it back.
Aww.
And they drove them and my grandparents, my mom's parents. They drove all the way to Texas to pick me up, and I was 2 days old.
Aww.
So adoption is more common now, but it's not that common. I've met a lot of adoptees even since I've been out here in Arizona. But it's a topic that I'm very passionate about. And I think, I know people that are trying to adopt. I know gay couples that have adopted. Yeah. So
When did you find out that you were adopted?
my adopted parents, and I will mention, I have never met my biological parents. So anytime I mention my parents, it's adopted parents. I don't know my biological family. They were really good about telling me as soon as I could understand. They made it very clear.
Do you remember them telling you, or you just always knew because they told you young?
I do remember them telling me and talking to me
just
about
straight
it.
out that they just said, we're your parents. You this is all you know. Well, we want you to know that you have been adopted. Is that how they brought it to you?
Yes.
Because that's a big deal at 5 or 6. And I don't think you really understand it at 5 or 6. Maybe at 10 or 15, your mind will comprehend more what adoption is, right?
Yeah, I feel like there was never any confusion. And well, they said that I was talking on the way home. They said you've been talking since the way home.
I believe it.
From Texas. So
I know, Kelvia, I believe that.
Yeah, I was precocious? I was a very precocious child. I pretty much talked the way I talk now. And yeah, they told me very early, and they bought my sister like traditional Korean outfit, and they bought me Hispanic outfit, like the blouse and the dress.
Oh, like the
at what age?
Yeah, I mean, very young, single digits. I mean, probably preschool. My mom was a preschool teacher for 30 years, which is another reason why I think I'm passionate about childcare and early childhood development. But no, they even made Mexican dishes. They bought Asian cookbooks.
That's so sweet.
They really tried to
keep your heritage.
Yes,
that's good.
They really did.
That's very thoughtful.
I know. I felt like they
because they didn't have to tell you. They could have told you when you were 15 or 17. Say, hey, we got some big news to tell you. And here you.
Well, my sister was Asian.
A sister who was adopted.
Yeah, but it's
you know what I mean. I think that would help. To understand.
And not only that,
how old was your sister from you? The difference.
She's 5 years older than me. And I think she dealt with a little more trauma because she actually came from a Korean orphanage. So, and you know
so
that
she was a little older.
yeah,
when she
she's
was
yeah, I
adopted.
think I want to say 14 months is how old
Okay.
she was when they got
Mhm.
her, and you know she had a hard time kind of acclimating to the time difference. Because
Yeah.
Korea from here to here, and no, they were very open about it. You remember American Girl dolls?
Mhm.
I actually went. My coalition member's Christmas Eve that I went to, her daughter had an American Girl doll. And I said, oh my gosh, I remember Josephine because that was the one with my skin color and,
Mhm.
my sister. And my mom made sure that she got us brown baby dolls. I mean, she
Aw.
really tried. And,
My girls are mixed, and I always made sure they had brown babies too.
and you know what the funny thing is I hear a lot of people talk when they bring up race and they're like, it just bothered me that there wasn't a baby doll that looked like me. And I never thought that way. I just never thought that way. I had paper dolls, I had Polly Pockets because,
Yeah.
my sister's older, everyone in my family's older. My parents are older, they have older parents. And I just got all the hand-me-down toys, strawberry shortcake, Polly Pockets, and it didn't matter to me that they were blonde or
Mhm.
blue-eyed. It bothered me. And I loved I had an Eskimo doll. I had Indian, Native American stuff because my
Mhm.
dad did reenactments. So yeah, I felt like, they did their best to keep our culture alive.
That's good.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to have you on to talk about adoption because adoption's been in the news. And I
Yes.
know that as an adoptee, you have some very strong feelings about the case in Georgia.
I do.
So, in case you don't know what happened, there was a homosexual couple, married males, and they adopted two boys who were quite young. I don't know. I know their ages like now.
They were 3 and
approximately.
5
Yeah.
when they were in the foster care system.
Okay.
And now I think they're 10 and 12.
Right. I said they knew they still aren't very old.
No.
And the parents were just sentenced
100 years each.
100 years each for abusing the children and
Selling them.
Yeah, personally abusing them, and then also giving them to other criminals, pedophiles, I don't know what you want to call them, in their area, just lending them out, to these sick perverts.
Yeah, and I can tell you what I know about the case.
Okay.
They were in Georgia. They were an affluent couple. One was a banker and one worked for the government, and they just looked like the picture perfect, gay couple to adopt. And
the last name, what was
Zuluk.
it? Zuluk?
Yeah, Zulok. Yeah.
Okay.
They say the Zulok family.
Okay.
And their names were William and Zachary. And they were about 34 and 36 when they adopted. Now, I believe they were arrested in 2022.
Mhm.
And their charges, they're bad. It's child exploitation. It's aggravated molestation. It's incest. Because I think they were brothers. Who they adopted were brothers. Alleged.
No, not alleged. They were already sentenced. Yes, because they were sentenced.
Yeah, those were the charges in question, were the aggravated molestation, child exploitation, and all of that. The reason they got caught is because there were two pedophiles that this gay couple were working with, and they would offer the boys to them. And one of the pedophiles got caught. He had stuff on his computer, and that's how it led back to this couple.
That's just horrible.
Yeah, it is. And I
It's
think
not even a big enough word for what it is.
And I was fortunate enough that I didn't go through the foster care system.
Mhm.
I was like direct domestic adoption. And the foster care system, it's not perfect. It needs a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a couple that's currently trying to adopt in Arizona right now, and they're making it very difficult for them. And they told them, now if there's a kid in the foster care system that is gay or has pronouns or goes by a different gender than what they were born, if you don't affirm them and give them care, you can have the child taken away from you or not even be able to adopt in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I heard that there are a lot of agencies that you have to sign before they're even willing to talk to you and say that you would support all this gender ideology if the child were to want that you would be supportive of all that. And if you say, no, that's crazy, oh, guess what? You can't adopt.
Yes, and I explained this to my cousin. I was like, my parents were strong Christians. They were professed Christians, and they would have been passed up.
Mhm.
They would have been passed up. And it's just like, so the script is flipped. So if you're a straight couple and you don't embrace that lifestyle, it's out of the question that you can't adopt now. Like, I think that's crazy.
That's
Yeah,
horrible.
it's
That's
just
who you want adopting is the traditional mother and father, because two fathers, that's lacks a mother. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
family unit should be the mother and the father.
And,
Absolutely.
just from what I know about adoption, I told you my mom was unfortunately a victim of abuse in every way. And when you tell an agency that you yourself, if you're honest and you tell them that you experienced abuse growing up, you are flagged. And like I said
Because of
earlier,
generational abuse.
because of generational abuse. And, if you're abused as a kid, it increases the likelihood that you will go on to abuse someone else. And if you're abused as a child, you may target that age group,
Mhm.
because it's like you said earlier, a fish doesn't see water. So if you grew up with that and you think that's a normal environment, I mean, you probably don't know you're hurting someone else. You may
Right.
or may not. Um, this couple, it was an adoption agency, which kind of disappoints me because it was Christian based and it was for special needs kids, and it was called All God's Children Inc.
Ugh.
And they apparently had a rigorous vetting process. I just think that this couple was so charming and so convincing. And
And honestly, probably also because you said they were affluent. Because
yes,
there's just, I don't know why people seem to think like, oh well, if you have a lot of money, then you have no problems, and you're probably not a bad person, even though there's not a barometer of anything.
yes, and they built a huge mansion on 2 acres in a suburban neighborhood in Atlanta. So they were, they were suburban family. They were rich. They said most of the houses in those neighborhoods cost about $900,000. And so they had like an isolated mansion where they were doing this stuff. They were filming stuff. And there what disappoints me is, the adoption agency, apparently their vetting process was rigorous, but they got through the cracks. And
I don't understand how a Christian adoption agency would let two men.
you know what, I have a theory.
That's odd.
The stigmatization surrounding Christians being anti-gay, and a lot of church incorporate the rainbow now, and they do gay marriage ceremonies. And I feel like my parents left their Baptist church back in Kentucky because they wanted to start bringing in the LGBTQIA stuff. And I feel like
That's disgusting.
Christians, have dealt with so much criticism, and it's like, yes, a child needs a good home. A child needs a home, period. There's a million kids on the adoption waiting list, and there's 2 million parents waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And they are more strict now. But the thing is they were able, which I was shocked about this when I learned this, they were able to adopt like a year after they got married, Zachary and William.
It usually takes longer.
Yeah, it usually takes longer, and they're supposed to do follow-ups. They're supposed to do, I think psych tests are incorporated now. And, if you're not honest on this stuff. But here's the thing. While they were being abused, their teachers reported that the 2 boys became withdrawn, their grades dropped, and that gay couple was able to talk their way out of stuff like that.
Well, in order to be able to talk your way out of stuff like that, you'd have to be very manipulative.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because they
And
are.
they were gay activists. They've been on the cover of magazines like Coming Out and stuff. So they were gay activists.
Mm.
Which also surprises me that they were approved. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but yeah. I think that they should have been vetted, and there's actually obviously been reform now because of this couple. Like, they have to do so many follow-ups. They have to do it in a certain amount of time. And they were proud of this. They bragged about abusing their children. Real quick, they found a Snapchat conversation that Zachary or William had with one of the pedophiles and was like, "I'm going to F my son tonight. Stand by." And he had follow-up videos and pictures of what he did.
That's just, it's so grotesque and infuriating. As a parent, I can't wrap my mind around it. It's just, I know several adoptive parents, and they love their children. I don't know what these monsters were. And obviously they were just lying, manipulative the whole time. You know what I mean?
And
They
you know
had
what's messed
nothing.
up? They put in another order. That adoption agency got closed down. I wonder why. That adoption agency ended up getting closed down. One of the gay, either Zachary or William, contacted them, and they said, we specifically want a 2-year-old girl. That's what they wanted to order, and they were upset because that adoption agency had closed down.
Oh my.
And I was like, wow, that's really specific.
I can only think that, you know, God had them closed down to save people. Okay, we're going to take a break just quick, and we will hear from some sponsors, and then we'll be back to chat with Josh Bernstein.
Ready to take your craft to the next level? Imagine faster extractions, purer products, and more profits. Sounds good, right? At Pure 5 Extraction, we've revolutionized cannabis extraction with our game-changing technology. No solvents, no heat, just the cleanest, most natural process on the market. Whether you're a boutique grower or a large-scale operation, Pure 5 has the tools to elevate your business worldwide. Visit pure5extraction.com today. Pure 5 Extraction, because your plants...
Ugh, this air conditioner isn't working again. I'm roasting in here.
Hi there. I'm from Canaloo Air. I'm here to fix your air conditioner.
Canaloo Air is a family-owned HVAC company that specializes in residential air conditioning and heating. We offer a variety of services, including installation, replacement, repair, and maintenance. Canaloo Air. We keep your home comfortable all year round. Call us today for a free quote. Why Canaloo Air? Here are the top 5 reasons. Family-owned and operated. We are committed to high-quality service. Our technicians use the highest quality parts and equipment. The business is a member of the Home Advisor Elite Service Award program. And finally, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Visit our website, canilooair.com, or call us today, 602-609-3480, to schedule.
And welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Before we jump right to Josh, Kelvia, you did have a couple things you wanted to add, make sure that you said while you're here. So what else would you like to just talk about?
I just wanted to say, some of my personal experiences, with gay people, just, to see the early signs. And, this hasn't just been happening the last 10 years or under a certain administration. I think this has been going around for a long time. I think it's just in the limelight right now, like everyone sees it. But, even as a kid, my experiences with gay people is actually pretty disappointing and sad now that I look back at it as an adult and someone who may want kids one day. My dad was in a band, and he had a gay band member who had a partner. So when they would play shows and stuff, I would kind of hang out with the partner and, everyone's spouses and stuff in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a gay man. He was an open gay man. And I just remember as a kid, I loved vinyl records, and I went through a serious Billy Joel phase. Serious. And, I don't know, he has a song called Captain Jack. And me and this guy kind of would talk about music. Obviously we were in the music scene. And there's one part in that song that talks about masturbation. There's one part in that song. And I was in at least probably middle school. And that's the only part of the song that he brought up. And he got aggravated with me because I didn't know what masturbation was. And he was like, remember, in the song where it talks about, I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he got aggravated with me, and I remember him walking away. And I was just thinking to myself, that's really inappropriate. There was no reason out of that entire song why you had to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my experiences as a kid with gay people. It was all the conversation always turned perverted. And I feel like he wanted me to have a secret life from my parents. He did. He wanted to befriend me. I remember when I turned 18, he bought me a pack of cigarettes, and we went out to their farm or whatever. And he's like, now you have your own life, and you're 18, and it's none of your business. It's none of your parents' business what you do with your life.
Wow.
And he was severely abused by his mother. That's why I make a point to that. I think a lot of homosexuals, whether they admit it or not, they were abused.
Now, what about when if you were to have kids, and would they be homeschool, or you have them in regular public school? And what would be the signs that you'd be looking for that they're not exposed to stuff like that? Would you be straight out with them and say, look, if you see something, say something to me, but B,
Well, there's no
don't fall into
secrets.
traps. I mean, because
There's no
Right,
secrets.
right.
Adults do not need to be telling kids, don't tell anybody about this. And that gay couple told their kids, this is our business and you don't share it with anybody else.
Yeah.
And that is typical for predators. They'll tell you,
Yeah.
I will kill you, or I will kill your mother if you tell them
Right.
about this. What we do in my bedroom is between me and you. And I had a professor in college who was gay. He was sick. He was a narcissist. Talk about narcissist. And I don't use that word loosely. He would flirt with all the girls, but he was secretly gay. And he had a partner. And this is Georgetown, Kentucky. I don't know how familiar you are with Georgetown, Kentucky.
No.
There's a liberal arts college there.
Mhm.
It's kind of progressive, not progressive enough for what I'm getting ready to tell you. So him and his partner adopted. And the way he just bragged about it in class, he was like, yeah, in Scott County, the judge is just a big lesbian, so we can do what we want. And
that's so sick.
I've been reading Charlie Kirk's book recently. And he talked about, when did you notice wokeism seeping into your community? And
Were you was there?
Well, that was one of the pivotal moments where I was like, oh, so we have gays in the justice system that's kind of bending the rules a little bit and letting their gay agenda show a little bit. And where my mom was an educator and a preschool teacher for like 30 years, there's a lot of gay men that are drawn to that profession. Teaching preschool and early childhood education. There's a lot of gay men, and actually
That's crazy.
DeSantis, passed legislation in Florida. And there was a gay preschool teacher that was upset because he wasn't allowed to discuss his personal life with his students and his partner. And I was like, they need to be eating applesauce and taking naps. They don't need to be hearing about your alternative lifestyle.
Right. I mean, most teachers, I didn't know anything about their families growing up. And all the teachers that I had in elementary school were pretty much all women. It wasn't until you got to high school that you had male teachers. So I think things have just so greatly changed since back in my day. It's so greatly changed. What about, so let's hop to Josh Bernstein. What about you? What was it like for you growing up? Did you have mostly male teachers, female teachers? Where did you go to school? Here in Arizona?
No, actually, I'm originally from New Jersey. Don't hold that against me. But I'm a Reagan's baby. I grew up in the 80s.
Nice.
I grew up in a time where the only thing we had to worry about, I guess parents had to worry about, is don't get her pregnant, don't get caught drunken and drinking and driving, don't do drugs, stay off of drugs, don't get arrested. Right now, these kids, it's don't chop
get
off
him
your
pregnant.
wrists, don't sexually mutilate your body, don't take these blockers that are permanent, don't do these horrible things to your body and things like that. So it's really just a disturbing reality of where we have gone as a society. And just listening to some of the things that you were talking about, that your guest was talking about with the Georgia couple, 100 years in prison without parole is just not enough. I mean, they should be castrated, and I'm not talking about medically, I'm talking about physically castrated, and they should probably be up for the death penalty and executed, because there's no reason why taxpayers have to spend another 30, 40, 50 years, however long they may live, giving them 3 squares and a place to stay, and just burning off of the system and taxpayers' money. So I say just eliminate them. They've already admitted what they've done. There's video evidence. There's forensic evidence. Just get rid of them and move on to the next people. Because look, not everybody is an angel. There are some weeds out there, sadly.
We could spend that taxpayer money to try and get those boys help, support. They're going to need
they're going to need
therapy.
They said their resilience has been amazing. Like
and
after,
and people, you know, they think children are resilient, and people do tend to think because kids are so resilient and so gung-ho. But I can tell you, I was the victim of sexual abuse as a child, and I thought for the first 20 years of my life didn't affect me, though. I'm fine. And it's only really been in the last 10 years have I, like I said, fish don't see water, that I couldn't see how much damage it did to me. And so I think that I'm glad that the boys aren't showing signs already of trauma, but they were traumatized and they do need a lot of help. And I wish that we had a way to give them the funds are almost unlimited that the taxpayers are gonna be spending to keep those monsters, like you said, with meals and taken care of and healthcare. And I wish that we could give them nothing and use all of
Exactly.
those funds for these boys.
Yeah, no question about it. And look, we've got to break the cycle. You know, I
Mhm.
always say, as a person who is an investigative journalist and, you know, a defender of freedom and fight against injustice, I always say I'm like Superman, but I don't wear a cape. And the reason that I say that is because there's three groups of people in particular that really, really make me upset when they are taken advantage of or abused. And that's, of course, the unborn, of course, children, and the
Mhm.
elderly. And if we can't take care of those three sectors of our society, then what does that say about
About us.
us?
Mhm.
And so I always fight real hard for the protection of the most innocent among us.
And times have changed so much. You made me think of something when you were talking about back in our day, back growing up in the 80s, that you
Well,
know,
I'm
you
even
had
older than
different things
you.
to worry about. You had different
I
things
was
to
born in
worry about.
75, so I
Oh.
graduated high school in 93.
Oh,
So you
just
were
a little
what?
older then,
You
not
were
too much.
2, I guess? Yeah, you were 2 when I graduated high school,
No,
so and
Kelvia
I've
was
got the
2.
hair to prove it, so
But when I was in school, we didn't my parents didn't have to worry about the teachers. You know what
Right,
I mean? And now
that's the
so many
difference.
cases, and it's not just male predators. There are women predators
yes.
for young boys. And I know so many people you would see in the comments, like on social media, when a teacher had abused a young boy. Oh, you know, back in my day, the teachers were ugly, and these are like hot teachers, and that kid was so lucky. Like, it's damaging.
It happens in high school a lot
Yeah,
with female teachers.
it's
Yeah.
damaging to their young mind. And as I said, when you and I were talking just before the show started, when there is sexual abuse of a child, it damages part of that child's brain. It gives it's brain damage because you can never you can't fix it. It's damaged the brain forever. And that's why I know all children who have been abused need therapy. It doesn't matter how resilient they seem or how great it seems like they're doing, they need therapy because it damages them, a part of them. They can't think right, they can't react right, they can't continue to grow and function in a normal way because of what has happened. And it's just
And they grow up to have no boundaries, almost no boundaries.
mhm.
The
It-
vicious cycle then continues. Yeah,
It's a vicious
sadly.
cycle. Exactly. They like Kelvia said, they are more likely to become abusers, or they are, you know, I know for girls I think they're more likely to become quite promiscuous and things like that because they don't have self-value and self-worth, even though,
Right.
you know, I look at my own children and I think that they are everything to me. I would, you know, I would die for them. I would do whatever I had to do. And so I can't comprehend, you know, these adults who are just have no to callously hurt any child, even if it's not their own. How
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, look, I
But
mean, I think the bottom line is, as a society, we need to educate people more and more. We need to get rid of a lot of these public schools and do homeschooling and do other, you know, types of schooling and alternative schooling.
yep.
Get them away from these indoctrination centers that are masquerading as, you know, trains of thought of education, because they're not. I mean, it's reading, writing, and indoctrination. It's
Yeah.
all about rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter rather than, you know, 2 + 2 is 4. And even
Mhm.
that can be controversial because, right, they're talking about
Yep.
common
Racist
core
math.
math, and they have this whole new system of doing arithmetic that makes absolutely no sense to anyone that grew up and is close to 50 years old or older. And so they've just changed everything. And what they've done is they've politicized education, and they've done it in a way to where they're doing it to the children. So by the time these children graduate from high school, they're pretty much close to being at least socialists at that time. Then they go to college and they meet their Marxist professor who tells them that the Constitution is an inherently racist document that needs to be changed over time. Then they meet those people, and the next thing you know, they become communists. And hopefully, by the time they start working, paying taxes, having children, being married, raising a family, then they start to kind of figure it out. Okay, what I was taught in college and high school is not what real world is like. And they become a conservative and a conservative value voter and things like that. But in the beginning, when they're altruistic, when they feel invincible, when they feel as though nothing can hurt them or harm them, then they're going to listen to a lot of demonic forces, sadly. And a lot of those forces are going to be very powerful forces. And so by removing them from that situation, having them go to private schools, having them go to charter schools, things like that, that actually concentrate more on skill sets and things like that rather than indoctrination, then you can have a new generation of thoughtful, thought-provoking, independently minded and thinking individuals.
And I think that with how fast things can go downhill, like politically and economically and in the world today, we really don't have time for these people who've just been through these liberal colleges to wake up to the conservative message, because we need people to act now. We need people to vote now for conservative representation that are going to bring on, conservative Supreme Court justices and things like that. But I really like all your opinions, Josh. No wonder we invited you on the show. We can read more about your opinions in your book.
Yeah, Preserving Liberty is the book. Bold and Brave
Preserving
Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom. It's been endorsed by 2 New York Times bestselling authors, Roger Stone, a good buddy of mine, and Alan Dershowitz, the famous defense attorney, as well as the foreword was written by another good buddy of mine, Congressman Paul Gosar here in Arizona.
Love Paul.
And there are 10 legislative ideas in the book. There's an additional 30 other solutions. So what I do in the book, and it's called Preserving Liberty for a reason, I go through all of the things, all the organizations, all the people, everything, the judges, the intel officials, you name it. I use their emails against them in the pages, FBI, CIA, NSA, you name it. And I show what they have done. I explain it all. And then I give solutions on every single chapter. There's 10 chapters. It's an easy read, 150 pages. But this is a book you want to read with a yellow highlighter in your hand. And my goal in writing it was to give the reader audible gasps at the information that they find in the book. So, folks, you can go to Amazon and you can look up Preserving Liberty. You'll see my face for radio pointing at you on the cover. And you can pick up the book right now.
Great. And it's on Audible, you said, right?
Yeah, there's a Kindle version. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Nobles. It's at Target. It's done by Simon & Schuster's distribution, and Skyhorse Publishing is the publishing company. So it's
very
not
nice.
self-published.
I think I'd like to have you back on the show another time. I feel like we have so many things to talk about. So but that's all the time we have for today. Thank you everyone for coming and watching
thank you,
us
Josh,
share.
for being on our show.
Yes.
Well, like
thank
I
you,
said
Josh
to Dr.
and
Drew,
Sylvia.
Drew 10 days ago, anytime, any topic. And I think he's going to take me up on that as well. So if you want anytime, any topic, I'd be happy to come back.
Awesome. Thank you. I will definitely make sure we take you up on that. So
Fantastic.
we will see you guys next week. We have lots
Stay
of
tuned.
work, so
Stay tuned to the Chips and Salsa show next Tuesday. Have a blessed weekend, and watch your kids around water, and don't leave your kids or pets unattended in their vehicles.
100%.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks. Bye, guys.